Salam Zanzi. It's another exciting episode of Game On, and tell you what, as far as the three leagues we focus on, South Africa, England, and out in Germany, the chasing pack has been able over the last week to close the gap on the log leaders. So, plenty to talk about with our two legends, Shane McGregor as well as Jerry Skosana. And keep in mind, at the end of the show, special little gift for you where two broadcasting legends in South Africa come together for an interesting chat. So, without further ado, here is Game On. So let's waste little to no time in getting into the action and what's going on out in England. And of course, to help me break down the English game, I'm in the presence of a great Shane McGregor. Shane, interesting times out in England. I'm sure it's safe to say. Let's first start off with our favourite club this season. Last year, this time it was Aston Villa. This year, it's Nottingham Forest. They're up against struggling Ipswich. 6-goal thriller. Ipswich scored 2, but take 4. There was no stopping Forest in this day.
Yeah, good to be here. Well, once again, we predicted this last week. I said Forest are flying at the moment, going well against a team that are going to get relegated. So, it's one of those things. But, Forest, you've still got to go out there and get the result done. And what a question. My only concern with that is conceding of the goals, But, getting the victory, the 3 points, that's all that counts. Keeps them in that area, third spot, which is brilliant. Yeah,
it's great to be picking up results at this time of the season, of course. And two clubs that haven't had a great season altogether, but they'll be happy not to really be involved in the relegation struggle right at the bottom. As Everton and West Ham, they played to a draw over the weekend. Your thoughts on Everton at home hosting West Ham?
Good result, good point for Everton, because like you say, they don't want to get caught into that relegation. Remember, again, this season, they couldn't buy a win, they couldn't get a point. Done well since David Moyes has been there. They've been a different team altogether. And I'm happy for them, even though I'm a Liverpool supporter, that's the blue side of Liverpool. They're going into a new stadium next season. So can you imagine if they had this new stadium and they'd gone in there as a championship team? So brilliant for them. Final season in Goodison Park. It's they're too a good team to go down anyway. They got the players. So the fighting spirit's a big thing with them.
It's huge. You mentioned the importance of Moyes coming back and the timing at which he came back to turn the season around. For someone who's been there, and I think it's safe to say he's an Everton legend, the most legendary manager in recent memory out at Everton, looking at his last stint, having gone out to go get the experience at Manchester United, gone out and worked in Spain and come back, you think he's come back with more understanding of the club and also the situation to do an even better job?
I just think he knows the club in and out. He's been there and he's done that. It's not about going out and getting experience. He's experienced enough.
Sure.
It was just a matter of he knows the club, he knows what's expected, he knows the players, he knows everything around the club. So the culture. So that's got a huge thing to do with it. At some certain clubs, that's massive. So for him, it's been brilliant.
Yeah, certainly has been. Now, let's talk about another fixture that would have been amongst the most mouth-watering of the weekend. Manchester City at home to Brighton. Tough one to call, because when Brighton's on their day, they really can slip you up, and they did the business, I think it's safe to say, in just slipping up Manchester City. They didn't pick up the 3 points, but at a time when City need the points to secure a top 4 spot, Brighton come away with a 4-goal entertaining game, 2-2 the scoreline at the end of it all.
Yeah, I said to you last week as well, you've got to be careful of this one. I was sitting on the fence regarding this. Brighton have been playing well, been punching above their weight this season. And Man City disappointing, obviously been very disappointing. But at the end of the day, Brighton were well worth their point there. And Man City, a lot of points dropped. They're going to be in trouble to get into their 4th spot.
It's tough when you look at the City numbers and the stats, but haven't won in the last 2, drew 1, lost another. In the last 5 have won 2. It's almost unbelievable numbers to speak of a Pep Guardiola side.
That's the thing, And if you look at that team, and we've been saying what's wrong, without Rodri, but also they're an aging team. There's a lot of old players in that team. He's going to have to refresh it and make changes, but we'll see what happens there next season. Haaland has come out and said if they're not in even though he signed a 7-year contract, he's come out and said if they're not in Champions League, he's going to have a look at his future, which is a bit of a worrying aspect.
Just out of interest, some would be wondering, 7-year contract, big salary. Do you think there'd be any suitors for Haaland should the time come and he wants to leave at the end of the season?
Well, he's the highest paid player in Britain at the moment.
Yeah.
But of course, there's always suitors for him. You know, a Real Madrid would dive in to take him. There's big clubs that would dive into. And when I say big clubs, big money clubs.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you'll always have a suitor for Haaland.
Now, have to ask you about Southampton. They've had their struggles. They continue against Wolves, who needed the points. Wolves travelling away to Southampton, picking up an important 2-1 win.
Yeah, I called that. I couldn't see anything but a Wolves victory.
Yeah.
Southampton will be playing in Championship next year, unfortunately.
Yeah,
for them.
no doubt.
You know, their season started off badly and it's just gone from bad to worse. So for them, it's been a good year of Premier League, but not a good year, a terrible year of Premier League, but at least they'll have their parachute when they go down.
I have to talk about Arsenal, Chelsea, the big derby,
Yeah.
and that may be the outstanding game of the weekend in just the fixtures that jump out at you. Chelsea away to Arsenal. We've spoken a lot about Chelsea. There's times when they've entertained.
Yeah.
There's times when they've impressed. But you've always reminded us, every time you speak to you, week in and week out, even when they're doing well, and especially when they're doing well, that they are youngsters, they will blow hot and cold. And this time they come up unstuck against an Arsenal side that hadn't won in 3, by the way.
Yeah, I know, and it's a much-needed victory for
Yeah.
Arsenal, you know, to stay in their second position. But like I said with Chelsea, you never know what you're going to get. The youngsters, the babies, you know,
Sure.
we call them. But Arsenal were good value for their victory. And yeah, they're keeping their pressure on. And when I say keeping their pressure on, they're only 12 points behind Liverpool now. And the way Liverpool are playing at the moment, there's going to be a lot of people worrying and looking over their shoulder at Arsenal.
Another side I haven't maybe spoken of a lot this season, but they have quietly impressed. Fulham, a spot, get the better of the rivals in London in Tottenham Hotspur in a game that may have surprised some, but would that have surprised you, that result, the 2-0 win?
Never
Clean
ever.
sheet as well?
Never ever. I'll keep on telling you this, going to Craven Cottage is never easy.
Yeah.
And for me, Spurs have been blown hot and cold the whole year. Angie is looking in big trouble there at that position. I mean, they're going to be looking at him and saying, is he good enough for this job? Personally, I don't think he's good enough for the job, but hey, at the end of the day, who am I to say? He's had a lot of injuries, yes, I understand, but they started to come back. He should be getting better results now.
United get the better of Leicester 3-0, and that's rounding up, of course, the results of the weekend. I want to get your thoughts on United, but also the fact that we're going into the international break, and all of these sides, including United and Leicester, have got their struggles, have some internationals. Who needs it? Leicester need it?
Liverpool.
United need it?
Liverpool need it the most.
Yeah.
The break has come at a good time for Liverpool. They're going through a bad patch. Give them time to recharge their batteries. My only worry is players going away for international duty and then coming back. But Liverpool needed it. Arsenal didn't need it because now they just got on the winning trail. Man United have won a game at long last.
We go off for a little break, not an international break. Coming back on the other side, though, we do have Cheris Kosana to break down what's been happening in the PSL, and there's plenty to talk about.
Can kick better than that.
Wanna bet?
You are on.
Breaking news. Gogo takes a Brian's challenge to a penalty shootout.
Aziz again.
Let's go.
Brian looks confident here. What? He's completely missed it. Here comes Gogo. And what a kick! She's done it! She's done the impossible! Hollywoodbets, Azisha again. Let's play.
Welcome back to GameON, and well, as we stated, there's so much to talk about in as far as the beautifully South African game, and some results that are certainly making life interesting at the top, at the bottom, in the top 8 struggle, and so on. Cheris Kosana joins me. Pacheli, thanks for joining us. And firstly, let's talk about Galaxy. Throughout the season, Skuma Ngalamatima Sepulugwane, with the top 4 Bambile, Ipulugwane City, Neskukune, Galaxy Shayama Zulu, then Yibo Manjabang number 4.
Well, thanks, Sizwe. But into njengayincoma kakhulu ukuthi we're talking now overall football yala eMzansi. Asisabhekanga nje certain teams because mawubheka phezulu it's a struggle of winning championship. Then mawubheke lapha eMzansi lapha it's a struggle of running away from a relegation. And buka ama results nje lawa velayo lapha phansi. They are so interesting because senze ibhola ukuthi libe strong. But position 4 that people are fighting for is still going to go down the wire. Mabashoke ngesilungu. Yeah, it's going to go down the wire because mawubuka lapha yona TS Galaxy, Skukune, and also a little bit of Stellenbosch. but we'll see ukuthi kwenzakalani.
Cape Town City now are an interesting case. Mabheka nje kwafika machine, makafika iChiefs yawo, iPirates yawo. Since then, when a machine must come, machine still has a lot to do. Now, they've parted ways. Cape Town City, Marumo Calens, who are struggling themselves, like Papans. 1-0 Calens win Cape Town.
Yeah, more pega futama results were Cape Town City, especially Glama team were lower. Even Nagoma KC, they didn't have a good game. Polokwane itself. Now another team come to Mara City, which is Cape Town. They beat Cape Town City Kaya. I mean, obviously, people like about John committees there to look at the other way. Yes, Ute Magafiga and record team Nandi, Pirates, Chiefs, both wins. But after that, it just collapsed. So maybe it's the mentality of the players. So you'll never know. But coaches, Banaleo, a way of trying to make sure players perform. It doesn't matter if you're playing Chiefs or you're playing Makesi, because 3 points are just the same.
But Makesi, you boys on the PSL block this season had a great first half of the season, considering by winning a cup. They've struggled since the start of the season, but since ONFing had to say now they were hosting Golden Arrows, now 1 chance on target, 1 goal, but 3 points.
Gobanzima. Gobanzima to all the teams la wala phansi. Kumbulo ukuthi kumanje we seated here asazi ukuthi kwenzakalani ngeReal AM. I mean, even if they've got like somebody ozothatha over banama game amaningi basakufanele bawadlale. They will never be guaranteed 3 points. So these teams, into engiyibhekile nje ukuthi they just trying to run away ukudlala ama relegation and promotion playoffs. So that's why ubuka nje ukuthi lama team adlala kahle. But inkinga yami lapha SuperSport United, a team ongayi-expectanga ukuthi ngaba lapha, they are still there. So kunzima but ipola liba mnandi 14.
So when they're landing Polokwane City, Jerry, they haven't won now in the last 5. They've lost their last 2. And Futi Bashawa Ichipa United 2-0. Kunzima manje.
Kunzima kakhulu.
Second half of the season, it's not the same now going into March.
Yeah, ngizwe no coach man abane complain ku post match interview ukuthi referees this, referees that. But for me, I don't think so, because when he was doing well, it was all accolades going to him. He needs to put the team together and stop complaining about other things. I mean, whatever that happened, I mean, it's referee's decision is final. Whatever, anything in football, obviously, control what you're refereing. But get your players into
control
order,
what you can.
Make them fight the way they were fighting before. It's long, police.
Yeah.
So that's something Jake Fanele would type coach Polokwane City.
Big games on Sunday, huge games on Sunday, both at the top and the bottom. Maskale with the biggest one, based FNB Stadium, Pirates, Sundowns. Pirates, great start, Bakura early. What did you think of their tactical response to scoring early? Good looking by winning 2-1 over Mamelodi Sundowns.
Honestly, I don't know what he coach Lapa or Jose Begapege. But whatever that he prepared, it worked for him, because you look at the overall of the game in terms of the 2 early goals that Pirates got themselves in, that was 2 quick goals that helped them a lot. But if Upeganje the whole game, I think Pirates were just lucky to win the game, honestly speaking. Because for me now, yes, there is like this young boy, Umbogazi, that was given man of the match, maybe for containing Ribeiro, not scoring, But for me, my overall man of the match, Makaula, for me,
middle of the park.
That was my man of the match.
Yeah.
He did a lot of work in the middle of the park to make sure that's where Sundowns are strong. But he neutralized everything. Yes, Mbata was there, but not that much. But Makaula, for me, was my man of the match.
Now, the shock result of the weekend, it is just being the Kaizer Chiefs. Is it fair to say it's the shock result of the week there? It is just Beishai Chiefs 2-0. And the Chiefs now are still, in March, going towards April, still fighting for the top 8 last season.
Yeah, well, it was a good result for Richards Bay. Well, they wanted that.
Yeah.
And they got a Chiefs that was not in good form. But more pega good Chiefs, man.
1 win in the last 5 Chiefs. 3 losses.
It's not good for a club like Chiefs.
Yeah.
But other things which are more internal, we cannot always talk about them. I think there are a lot of things that fanele bazilungise phakathi lapha ekhaya. Because mawubuka leya team, ubuka the kind of players abanawo, and then you want them to go and compete, especially for that page, your Kaizer Chiefs. I mean, some of the things fanele bazilungise.
Quick fast, Stellenbosch, bengathi competing on the continent, may just be too much for them to try and compete for the same position as last season where they finished third. But now, here they are, and they're third in the league table. Now, but they traveled away to a tough Sekhukhune United. Bashai Sekhukhune 2-1. Ibuyile Stellenbosch.
Yeah, babuyile. But uma ubheka lapha, we're still looking at the last season's top 3 teams. Sundowns, Pirates, Stellenbosch. Kusesenjalo. But I think that's why Stellenbosch wanted to have a grip because Sekhukhune were like 4th and closer to them. So they wanted to make sure by beating them 2-1 and making sure ukuthi bayahlala lapha ku 3rd position.
Rather interesting. So we say thank you to J.S. Kosana and take a short break. We come back, Shane returns, and we talk about what's happening in Germany. Well, exciting times out in Germany. I say exciting because, well, the chasing pack is doing all they can to try and slow Bayern down and keep things interesting moving into the last bit of the season. But Union Berlin come up with a couple of interesting results over the last few weeks. They were at home to Bayern, a game many would have probably thought Bayern are going to walk away the eventual winners, but they held Bayern to a 1-1 scoreline.
Yeah, big result for them, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, getting a point there against Bayern is always a big thing. For Bayern, it's not the best of results for them, you know.
No.
It's now just left a little bit of a door open for Bayer Leverkusen. But, you know, when you play in that German league, it's never easy, especially when you're traveling away.
Yeah.
And Bayern sometimes do have these slips. You know, the international break will come at a good time because now they don't have to worry about playing. You know, some thoughts, some managers say, I'll rather go out and play the next week. And others say, no, you know, if we can have the break, let's have the break. So thoughts differ in that aspect.
Well, they leave a little bit of a window open for hope for Bayer Leverkusen, but they had to earn that hope away to Stuttgart. We talked about it last week and said this is going to be an interesting game. It served up 7 goals at the end of it all, and Bayer Leverkusen walking away 4-3 winners over Stuttgart. What a game.
Yeah.
Game of the weekend, possibly in Europe.
Great game. I mean, you know, 7 goals is always a great game. But remember I said to you last week, this team will fight and they'll keep on fighting. And they had to do that. I mean, they scored in the 4th minute of extra time to go 4-3 up. That just shows you the fighting spirit within that team and within the camp, you know. Yeah. So they kept going right to the end, and that's one thing they will do. Alonso's done that with his team, and he'll keep on doing it. 4th minute extra time, boom, get the goal, win 4-3. They celebrated, because I actually saw the celebrations like they had won the league.
Yeah.
But it just shows you the unity of the team, and that's that team, fighting spirit.
Also, little things mean a lot, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but you know what it does do now? They're only 6 points behind. When I say only 6 points behind, you never know what can happen. Bayern will be looking over their shoulder and saying, oh, the noisy neighbours are not looking good.
So interesting race at the top. Also in position number 3 and 4, things are rather interesting. Mainz are held by Freiburg to a 2-2 scoreline. Meanwhile, Frankfurt go away to Bochum and walk away 3-1 winners. So interesting times, that top 4 race. Yeah.
Those two teams are going to be there fighting for the rest of the season, you know. But for Mainz, they went through a very good patch of victories, and now boom, get the draw. But we said a lot of those victories were away from them, so maybe they want to be playing away from them more often.
True.
But once again, Frankfurt's one of those teams also never going to give up. You know, they're always going to keep on fighting. They're going to keep on keeping the pressure on. They want to be in Champions League next year, so it's going to be a good battle coming to the end of the season. When have we last seen that we've had those two teams without your Dortmunds, without Leipzig, all of those teams fighting for that position? Yeah. So it's actually very good, and it just shows you how the game has changed and how important it is that you keep on fighting till the end.
Well, plenty to talk about and plenty to fight for out in Germany. And as far as the shuffle for places is concerned here, going right to the wire by the looks of it in the battle for number 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6. So interesting times out in Germany. Thanks to Shane. And we've got a little special prize for you. Well, a little special, let me say, a gift to you on the other side of this. So we promised you a special gift, of course, in ending off the show. And there are two legends over the years in the way of broadcasting here in South Africa. And of course, with the SABC, one is the legendary Zulu commentator Joe Hudla. On his radio show, he hosted another legend, of course. And that, of course, is Robert Marau for the first time in 12 years, speaking to Joe Hudla. And when the two legends got together for a sit down and a chat, this is what came out of it.
Joe Hudla, in summary, he's the greatest. When I say he's the greatest, I mean it. Some of us use radio as a medium to visualize what football looked like, or who the players were. We didn't know what they looked like, but we listened on radio, and he brought all of these elements alive. The man was made for the microphone. So if people doubted who and what he was, some of us will be there to testify that Joe Hudla, full stop, greatest, full stop. That's it.
A whole Joe Hudla, a whole Hollywoodbets ambassador. Welcome to the Purple Family, boss.
I'm honored.
Welcome to the show. It's taken me 15 years, guys. 15 years. Not months or days, 15 years. This man kept saying, no, I'm scared. I was ask me. No, I'm scared.
Joe Hudla, an iconic name in sports broadcasting in South Africa. Someone who has inspired many, shaped the current voices of the beautiful game, and a man that many South Africans hold in the highest regard. But where did it all begin? After all, it didn't start with mic in hand.
It was just a coincidence, you know, because when I finished school and then I got my first job, I was employed as a HR person. But it so happened that that job that I was doing was at the SABC. So one day in 1983, that was about, I can't remember whether it was April or May, a producer came to my office to report that the commentator that they were waiting for to come and do a recording for a sports show for the night, and he had not turned up. Then I said, guys, what are you gonna do? They said, we don't know because it's late. We can't get someone else now to come from home. I said, okay, let me try. They said, can you? I said, let me try. And then it was an European Cup final match, and then they gave me that chance. It was one take, and then they clap hands, and that's all. That's where it all started. Sometimes, when I get to people and then find there are some games playing, you'll find young boys and middle-aged guys trying to imitate me in such a way that whenever I move around, I just put a hat or a cap. Like that, like I've done, and I'll try and hide so that the people would not see me. And then I would hear people imitating my voice, and then I would think, oh, it means I made a mark.
I've invited him because he's been running away from me for the past 12 years. I don't know what he thought I was going to do or say to him, but all I wanted to do and say to him was thank you. Thank you for what you've done to us as football lovers, the entire nation. It didn't matter whether people spoke Kiswati, Zulu, Xhosa, Sepedi, Chivenda, it didn't matter, even Afrikaans. The fact that Joe would translate football with the energy and the passion to people to visualize the game made sense. He's an institution because, you know, when you've worked, and he's also admired the Teta Masumbukas of this world, the Kwas Katebes of this world, even the Bab Mangete of this world, then you know that he's in the same field as people that really transcended football. I mean, those are big names in the world of commentary. And if I can still today tune in and listen to commentary in the UK, and the voice of Martin Tyler is there so many years later, I'm sure Martin Tyler is even older than Joe Hudla, then why not him? I'm just happy. Not only I'm just happy, I'm happy he's also part of the Purple family. He's part of the Hollywoodbets family right now. He deserves to be there. And I've never seen him so happy. He's like a little kid now. He's like a teenager. Why? Because one little career move and recognition makes a big difference.
Always nice to see when two legends come together for what is obviously an interesting chat. Robert Mara and Joe Hudler, thank you to both of them. Also, thank you to Chase Kosana, Shane McGregor, and from me, Cesar Mapena. We'd like to thank you at home for taking the time to join us here on GameON. And from all of us and the rest of the team behind the scenes, it's click, click, bang.